You're listening to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Each week, I'm going to be interviewing top realtors from coast to coast to give you a backstage pass on how they've created their amazing real estate empires and how you can copy them. Hi, everyone. This is Real Estate Coach Craig Proctor. Thank you very much for being with us here today. Hey, it's your lucky day because we've got super realtor from Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Nick Rendleman with us. Nick, how are you doing?
Craig, I'm doing great. Glad to be here today.
Hey, man, I'm glad to have you back here again. Nick and I were having this awesome conversation about paradigms and being entrepreneurial and really the massive growth that he's had in his business. So if you want to learn how to leverage and scale up your business, make sure that you stay for our entire interview because we are going to get into the weeds on not only how I did this, but recently how Nick has had this huge paradigm shift. Nick, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and this amazing journey that you've had.
I've been in real estate for about a decade and started the business because I was basically needing a job. And so I got into real estate. It was a plan B, never grew up thinking I'd be in real estate. Found out I love sales and I like to sell. I enjoy working with people. I like helping people. And so, by God's grace, I was successful and had fun with it. And then I started working a crazy amount of hours every week and I was buried in business. And so I began the process of leveraging and getting helping hands to keep up with the amount of work. And since that point in time till now, we've been able to grow the business and, sell hundreds of homes and serve hundreds of families. And it's been a ride.
I'd say your plan B worked out pretty good.
I think it was God's plan A, but at the time I didn't know that.
Right.
And I am grateful. I'm grateful for Craig, the partnership we have. And certainly I wouldn't be where I am today without having others show and model for me what it looks like to have a scalable business.
Well, that's just plain smart. I mean, finding people that are doing more than you and finding people that are doing the thing that you want to do. It's already been done. All you have to do is copy them. Having someone that will explain exactly what to do and how to do it, it's just plain smart. So, smart move, Nick. Now, look, you and I were having this pretty awesome conversation before we got started about why don't more realtors do what you do, right? Like, I want you to lay down the success you've had here, like transactions or income, or however you want to do it. And I want everyone to pay attention to this. And we're going to talk about why everybody doesn't do what Nick has done here, because we have the roadmap, we have the plan. Don't ignore the plan. So, Nick, break it down. What is this quantum leap that you've had, and explain how you did it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Well, I think first and foremost, we all have paradigms. We have ways of thinking, and there's nothing new under the sun. Those ways of thinking were passed on to us. We learned it from somebody, okay? And so most of the time, we as realtors have sort of been handed a model from some other realtor or some other brokerage or entity. And so we've just started to do what everyone else has always done. And hey, it works to a point until we're working 60 plus hours a week and we're exhausted and it's, we can't imagine growing the business beyond where we already are because I'm already working 60 plus hours a week. And so paradigms, Craig, can be very limiting because when we introduce a new paradigm or a new way of thinking, the mind immediately resists and says, whoa, wait, what about, and if we're not careful, the natural inclination of the mind is to object. Well, that won't work. Oh no, we could never do it that way because of our pre-existing paradigm. It almost is like,
that's certainly the truth. I got to say, 30 years working with realtors, as soon as we lay out a different way of doing things, and you've seen this, Nick, attending our conferences, and we've got agents that are there for the very first time, and We've got our superstars on stage, and it seems like realtors initially go down the road of why it won't work, and they're trying to fit in what we're talking about into their old belief system, into how they're currently doing things. Now, did that happen to you in the beginning as well?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think it's human nature, and there's no criticism towards that. When that feeling comes up inside of you that says, basically it's like fear. It's just a feeling of fear of, oh man, I that won't work for me. You don't have to feel bad about that. That's very natural and normal.
It is. I think it's the way we're raised, right? Like, when you're a kid, your parents would be like, oh, don't touch that. That's hot. Watch your step. We're always taught to be careful, stay away from danger. And so, that carries through over the years, and we're always analyzing opportunities with immediately going to what can go wrong here, right? Into protection mode. Give me a couple of examples, if you can recall examples of some of those thoughts that you had when you first met me. Some of those, like, you look back at it now and you laugh, but some of those thoughts that you had, like why this isn't going to work for Nick, or why this wouldn't work in Chicago, or how your marketplace is different.
Yeah, well, I think I looked at where you were and what you had done, and I thought, well, gee whiz, that's Mount Everest there. That's a pretty tall summit. That doesn't seem like something that maybe I could I do that? Could I do what Craig did? Like, Craig's got to have something I don't. I mean, that's why he could do what he did. The more sinister side is like, is he real? Is he for real? What if he's just going to scam me? What if this coaching is snake oil? What if it's a joke? What if all these people on stage are just whatever? And so, those were some of the, that was. Yeah,
those are really good examples.
Incredulous
yep.
responses that I think most people, if we're honest, have to some extent.
Now, when you started to meet the other Craig Proctor superstars, that goes a long way in you. I don't know why my alarm's going off here, but not timely. We'll shut that off. That goes a long way when you start to meet other Craig Proctor superstars, and you start to become friendly with them. You realize they're no different than you are, right? Like, they're sharing with you their issues, they're answering your questions. So I would give that advice to everybody watching. Like, get to know Nick, get to know our members. Like, we have a massive directory of realtors inside the Craig Proctor system that are making $1 million a year. Some of them are making over $1 million a month. So initially, yeah, you have that thought of like, well, they're different. They've got some kind of superpowers, or maybe it's not real. But when you start to become friendly with them, Nick, here's what you realized. Every issue you're having or about to have, they've already had it.
Right.
And as you become friendly with them, you realize, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. And that's a big leap right there. As soon as you actually believe I can do it, then that totally opens the floodgates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure does.
So talk to us about some of those steps. So first of all, there's Nick, the realtor. Your belief system back then is, well, if I want to be successful, I got to work 7 days a week. I got to work 12 hours a day. And you did. And you worked really, really hard. But you're married. You just had your 4th daughter. That gets old pretty quickly. But your belief system at that point was, the only way that I can do more or earn more is I have to trade more of my life. When did that paradigm shift?
Well, it sort of evolved over time, because my first hire was my wife, actually. And I think just watching other members and how they did what they did, I quickly sort of observed, like, yeah, people are highly leveraged here. And I remember the first time either you said or some other member said that it's easier to sell 500 homes than it is to sell 50 homes. And that was kind of a profound thought, and it made me want to test it. Like, is there truth to that? Like, how does that even work? Right. And so
that statement is so true. And every one of our successful members would say, totally, it's easier to make $1 million a year than it is to try to live on $100,000 a year. And also further proof to that, we were talking about this before we got started. Do you notice how none of our millionaire agents decide to go back to working by themselves? Right? No, I haven't met anyone in 30 years, Nick, that gets to your point and they're like, no, no, no. You know what? I think I want to undo all this and, work 7 days a week and be a control freak and do it all. Nobody does that. So what are people so afraid of? What if you tried to leverage up your business and it didn't work? Well, you're no worse off. You're still a solo agent working 7 days a week. But let's look at what is the best thing that can happen. What if this really does work? In a way, once you hear this and once you see this, there was no going backwards for you. Right? Like once you started coming to the conference and you started meeting the superstars and becoming friendly with them and realizing that this was real and that you could do it, in a way, I kind of ruined it for you as a solo agent, right? You're like, well, this is ruined. Like, could you imagine right now, Nick, the utter ridiculous thought of you going back to where you were? Like it would never happen again. Like you've grown so much with your paradigm, the way you're thinking. And now you know that you're going to look back at where you are in 5 more years and think where you are right now is ridiculous. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's a paradigm in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's are you content and complacent? There's a degree of contentment that's really good, right? Like you don't want to constantly be like you want to be able to enjoy your life, right? But I think that all too often we get complacent in the old paradigm because it's safe. It's a comfort zone. It's hard to step outside of that, Craig, that comfort zone that we have and try something new because it's new. It's not tested. And then the fears of, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, what if I fail? I find going back to one of the questions you asked me, like what's one of the great objections people have? It's I'm afraid that someone isn't going to do as good a job as I would do. So it's really letting go of the vine, letting go of control and giving people an opportunity. But in doing this, and this is kind of the amazing thing with leverage, it's like when you focus on the things that you're really the best at doing, I mean the best at doing, that you love doing, and you delegate this stuff that you don't really like doing, and maybe you're not even good at doing, what happens is that you'll find that there's someone out there that actually loves doing the things that you hate doing. And that's a team. That's how leverage is supposed to work. It's not slave labor. Oh, you take this stuff. No. Someone actually wants to take that stuff off your plate.
Right.
And
you're surrounding yourself with people that are experts or really skilled at the things that you either don't like to do or don't know how to do. In the beginning, we're talking about team building here, everybody. In the beginning, if you're a solo agent, if you're like me anyway, I was kind of freaked out thinking what you just said, Nick, is, well, if I send out these agents on my team, when people call me, the buyers and sellers are going to freak out. They're not going to accept my team members. And so I had to train my team members to be able to handle that. And we had to position and market the team. And it got to the point where everyone in my marketplace knew that when you called Craig Proctor, you weren't going to get Craig Proctor, but they were okay with it because they understood the benefit of the entire team. They understand that they actually would be getting better service working with someone on Craig's team. And they also had the benefit of the huge marketing that they could find nowhere else. So then I realized once I had my clients accepting this idea that, well, when you call Craig, you're not going to get Craig. The clients actually benefited because my clients were actually getting better service because prior to that, I was trying to be everywhere and be everything to everyone, and I was stretched too thin. So ironically, the thing I feared, customer service or rejection of the concept by the clients, it was the opposite. My clients were getting better service now. Now, okay, so here's the epiphany I've got at this time, Nick. My thought, and you've heard me say this before, is how many houses can I sell now that it doesn't depend on me? How many homes can I sell? How many buyers can I work with now that I don't need to work with the buyers? I've got the people in the system. How many homes can I list now that it doesn't depend in any way on with Craig Proctor? I'm not meeting with them. I'm not talking to them. So I started to expand, right? I started to expand all over the greater Toronto area. I'm selling 300 homes a year, 400 homes a year, 500 homes a year, 600 homes a year. Now, here's a paradigm shift. In 2007, okay, I don't know if you knew this, I moved my entire family to Florida. We bought a house on an island. My team is cranking. I was the #1 agent for Remax in the country. And I'm not even in the country half the time, right? So I was able to really have this business that was separate from me. Now we have members, as you know, that are having basically expansion offices all over the country. So, you know, this is Nick Rendleman 1.0 in Chicago, but eventually there could be Nick Rendleman 2.0 somewhere else. Because once you know how to make it work without you, it doesn't matter where the location is. So how many people are watching this going, wow, that's a big thought, right? But you love the actual psychology of this, right? Like you, Nick, a lot of studying that you've done has been on me and the Craig Proctor system and the agents, the super successful entrepreneurial members inside Craig Proctor world. But I got to say, a lot of the studying you've done is on you. Like you're actually fascinated in how the mind works and what's happened to you, right? Like you're actually turned on by this fact that look at how different your thinking is. You're the same person in the same marketplace, but the way you think about it, and that's the key. If we could get everyone just to get in the other side of this self-imposed prison that we live in called your paradigm. I said to Nick before we got started, I said, Nick, I'm not sure what year, what seminar you came to, but I said, there were hundreds of people in that event, probably 1,000. And they all heard the exact same information. So it always blows me away that I could talk to 1,000 people in a conference room, but there'll be the Nick Rendlemans of the room that they lock in. There's like this spark in you and you got it and you just took off with it. The guy sitting next to you, he might be thinking, oh, this probably won't work. All those people on stage, they're probably just Craig's friends. This is probably some kind of trick. My marketplace is different. They go immediately down all of those negative ideas. And so it's so much how we look at these opportunities in front of us, right? So many of us see the problem and others just see, I mean, I can totally relate to that in my life of, I'll give everyone a good example. How many of you, we're all in real estate, right? How many of you look back at some property you could have bought, some opportunity? You know, I've been doing this for 30 years, right? So I'm always saying to my wife, Nick, I'm always saying, I remember when those lots were $250,000, right? Now they're like $1 million, right? Yeah. I could have, right? But I didn't see it at the time. Right. I see it now, but you don't see it.
And if you don't train your mind to see it, then you'll never see it until it's too late. And so like those opportunities are windows, and sometimes they're small, you know, and like I thank God, I thank you. I'm glad I took the step that I did, because it's absolutely changed everything. And it's not just about real estate. It's like you kind of just intimated there. It's a paradigm for all of life, you know, because you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have problems, you're going to have things that don't go right in your personal life. When those things happen, those bad things happen in life, how do you deal with them? So, you know, we're just talking about a business paradigm here, and I just think that if we can just take a step of faith and not be so married to the old way of thinking, we're going to see quickly, you'll see fruit, you'll see evidence, you'll see proof that, hey, this is working. And then that begins to feed that part of you that grows the faith muscle that says, okay, well, if it works so far, maybe I can take the next step and the next step. And before you know it, you look back and you're halfway to the summit of Everest, and you're like, whoa, what a ride, you know? And here I am, I'm following in Craig's shoes, and wow, it is working for me. And, you know, and I've had these epiphanies along the way. And so now my passion is, and this is kind of why, Craig, it's such an honor to be on this show, because now what I really desire to do, what I love to do, is help other people discover this. and in my context in Chicago and my team, brokers that are working with me on my team and my leadership team, et cetera, and even people I meet outside of the city, right? Anywhere I go, I like to help people to start to think differently, because I know firsthand how rewarding it is to adapt a new paradigm. And it's a paradigm of leverage, because that's where multiplication exists in business, and you play to your strengths and everyone's happier. You get more time.
I want everyone to note your enthusiasm here. Everyone watching this, note Nick's enthusiasm here. And this is why he is successful. Nick has become an evangelist for his own business. He really believes not only in what he does, that he can help all the people around him. So, they say in sales that the first sale every salesperson must make is to themselves. So this is going to be part of all of you watching this becoming successful. Is the first thing that Nick did is he had a belief system in himself. And then he realized that he's helping everyone around him. Everyone on his team's got a better life because Nick's taking the lead here. And when you really believe that and you really feel that, you become a walking, talking evangelist for your business. And so how do you get there? Well, part of it is the way Nick was born and raised, but I believe it can be acquired. If you take a look at my family, Nick, there's no reason for me to be successful. My dad was a farmer. My mom was a housewife. Nobody in my family went to university or college. Like this was not supposed to happen to Craig Proctor. The year before I got into real estate, 1987, I was working at the local hospital sweeping floors. I made $14,000 that year. Within 3 years, I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the entire world. Within 36 months of having my license, making millions of dollars a year. Why? Why did that happen to Craig Proctor, right? I became pretty fascinated in studying. That's a pretty big shift. What happened to me? And then realizing that thing that happened to me, I can show Nick how that can happen to him. And all of you, I can show you. The mind will play tricks on you, folks. The mind will play tricks. When I'm at the hospital, you know what I'm thinking? This is all there is for Craig. Make $1 million a year. That's a fantasy, right? That's for other people. I used to look at fancy houses when I first got into real estate. I used to think, I could never afford to buy the home people. And then pretty soon you're living in one. And pretty soon you realize I could buy the whole damn neighborhood, right? These are paradigm shifts. Let's go back to some of the early shifts that you had. So you're a solo agent, you start hiring people. At some point, when do you realize, hey, this is a thing? I can scale this thing up and up and up and up and again. Walk us through that transition.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just like the way I would describe it, Craig, is it's just a snowball effect. Okay. So, first step was bringing my wife on. She's my first administrative assistant. And all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, I don't have to schedule showings anymore, which what realtor loves to do, scheduling. Like not many at all. And I didn't like it either. And so
basically your wife was, you were giving her some of the administrative tasks so you could focus more on real estate, right?
Yeah, right. So,
but do you see the problem with that? Now you got to focus more on real estate where you actually got busier. So right. In a way, it's crazy, right? Because I did the same thing when my wife came on board. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give her the admin things, which it actually, in a way, helped. My income went up because I could focus on more real estate stuff, but it didn't solve the problem because I was selling more houses, but still working 7 days a week.
Yeah. And so like when we had our firstborn, I remember I was at the hospital negotiating a deal shortly after, she was born. And so the problem, and I guess this is a shameless plug for coaching, but this is true. The problem with the Craig Proctor coaching program is that you'll get too much business. And I mean that because like it's a problem. It's a good problem, but it's a problem because real estate can burn you out. It's a legit thing. You got too many clients, you got too many leads, you got too many houses, too many listings, too many buyers. You can't do it all.
Right.
And so I got to that place of saying, holy smokes. Now, before I met you, I had a beta of a team. Okay. But I didn't know how to do it. And so it didn't really work well. It kind of fizzled. Then I started coaching, and I followed your principles and how to build a team. Everything, how to do all of it,
because it can be done the wrong way.
It can be
done. And so I want to point that out for some of you watching now, and you're listening, you're like, okay, well, the team thing, I've been there, I've done that, it didn't work. You can build this team the incorrect way and have this false belief that teams don't work, or it's more trouble than it's worth. And then what's your option? You get rid of your team. You think, I don't want to have a team anyway, and you go back to trying to do everything by yourself.
Yeah, and again, this is where paradigm is so critical in mindset, because you can't go into this thing expecting that you're going to hit the bullseye the first try. I mean, maybe you do, but you're going to fail, and that's okay. Everyone fails. You learn through failure. The fortunate thing,
right? You're going to hire perhaps the wrong person. You're going to have tough days.
Correct.
Correct. Nick, I don't know if you remember me talking about this plaque that I had on my desk. And the plaque said, whenever I'd have a tough day, right? So in the beginning, when you're training people and you're hiring people, you're going to have bad days, and you're going to mess things up. And if you've got a team, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you're going to have those days where it's like, oh my, is this really worth it? It just would be easier to do it myself, right? Everyone's got a team, is going to go through that phase. But then I would look at this little plaque on my desk, and you know what it said? What is your option? What's my option? Am I going to get rid of my team members, go back to being a control freak, go back to working 7 days a week? That's not an option. So you have to battle through this. Now, I'll tell you what makes it an easier battle. Stop trying to figure out your team thing on your own. Come and learn from Nick and I. Yeah. Come and learn from us. If you're in the Chicago area, folks, listen to me. If you're in the Chicago area, you do not need to call Craig Proctor. Everything you want to do in real estate is done by my apprentice here, Nick Rendleman. Okay. He is my entrepreneur partner in Chicago, Illinois. You need to, if you want to make more money as a real estate agent and work less, you need to contact Nick. You can Google him, Nick Rendleman, okay, Chicago Realtor. You'll find him all over the place. Now, here's how this deal would work. You partner up with Nick. He doesn't give you leads. He gives you actual appointments, but the most important thing is he coaches you up. Okay, I don't know what value, what price tag you can put on the shortening of your learning curve and learning from somebody that's doing what you're doing, who obviously has a vested interest in your success. The more money you make, the more money Nick makes, but it's more than just about the money. I hope you guys are getting this. If you work with Nick, he will actually change the way you think about things, not just real estate, like everything. You'll start to think bigger.
That's right.
So, and now if you're not in Chicago, you need to call me. Okay. If you go to proctorcall.com, it's a call and it's free. It's $0. I will charge you $0. And now you might think, well, what's the catch? Is he going to try to sell me? No, we're not going to try to trick you or sell you. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a conversation with you about where you are now and where you would like to take your real estate business. Now, once you tell me where you are, let's say you say, I'm doing 25 transactions. Where do you want to go? I want to go to 50, or I want to go to 100. My obvious question to you, just so you're prepared, is, well, why aren't you doing 100? And you're going to tell me because you don't know how to do it. Or you're going to tell me the reasons why. Oh, Chicago's different. You're in Toronto. Like, you're going to tell me all the reasons why I can't get good people, my brokerage, and I am going to help you see how to do this in a better way, to go around the obstacles. Now, how do you book the call with me and my right-hand person? You go to proctorcall.com. That's my name. Oh, my arm disappeared. Proctor call, no space, proctorcall.com. You'll book a day and a time, and we'll have a conversation. Nick, you and I were talking earlier about why doesn't everyone do what we do? And this is how we evaluate opportunities. In fact, when I started in real estate, I was mentored by Bob Proctor. A lot of you guys know Bob Proctor. He was in the movie The Secret. And Bob's written a bunch of books, and I mentored under him. And Bob and I, we did seminars all over Canada, the United States, and it was called the Proctor Experience. We had the exact same last name. We weren't related in any way, but we're both in Toronto. And Bob is very famous when it comes to paradigms in the mind. So all of this stuff that I learned about how the mind works and what I've shared with Nick and thousands of realtors, I've got to give credit to Bob, because Bob helped me understand what happened to Craig Proctor. How did I go from sweeping floors to 36 months later becoming the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world for commissions earned? And how did I continue being the top agent in the world for 20 years straight? Okay, paradigms. Okay, so you have these thoughts right now about this interview. You're like, well, is this real? Folks, what's the worst thing that could happen? This is what Bob taught me. He said, Craig, when you look at an opportunity, I want you to analyze it in two different ways. What's the worst thing that could happen, and what's the best thing that could happen? Well, I'm going to tell you this. If you're in Chicago and you partner up with Nick, the best thing that can happen is something really beautiful. If you book a call with me and you get involved with me, now there's no obligation to do anything, but if I really help you, if I blow you away, like if you found this helpful and we actually help you, you're going to want more help. Okay, that's the method of my madness. If I'm this podcast that you're watching right now, the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show, is free every week. I hope you find this entertaining. We're giving away valuable information. We want to educate you and entertain you at the same time. But what's the best thing that could happen? Something really beautiful. Now, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, you call Nick and you don't like the conversation, or you book a call with me and you don't like it. It's not for you. Fine. It cost you $0 to check out the opportunity. Just keep doing what you're doing. But guess what? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to call Nick and say, nah, I think I'd rather just keep doing what I'm doing. I think I'd rather just keep cold calling and door knocking and working on the weekends and hanging out with the guys in my office who are complaining about how bad things are. I don't think you're going to do that. What's the best thing that can happen? Nick will introduce you to the other people on his team. You're like, you don't believe me? Talk to him, talk to her. If you want to have a mentor, someone that's passionate and excited and believes in what they do, you're looking for a leader here, folks. And who your leader is, who your mentor is really, really important. Like I had Bob Proctor as a mentor. Who's your mentor? Well, there's a lot of mentors, Nick, in real estate that have unfortunately never sold a house. We won't mention any names. Or should we? Or should we? But they've never had a real estate license. I mean, it's ridiculous. Could you imagine wanting to be a heart surgeon and learning, having a mentor that's never been a doctor, never performed surgery? Guys, who your coach is really, really, really matters. So should I have a coach? That's the first question. Yes. But who the coach is really, really important.
And Craig, I talk with people in all different types of industries. And it just seems to be par for the course to have a coach. The very successful people, the people that are at the apex of their industry, they all have mentorship. You don't, it's just not wisdom to run into this thing and to just try things or just to do what you've seen other people do in your market, whatever. If you follow what 99% of people are doing, you're going to end up just like the other 99%. And 99% of realtors, let's face it, they aren't, they aren't successful in the way that most people want to be, and this is more about, to me, lifestyle than it is money. Like money was never what drove me. But now if I have more influence and I can invest in people and I can raise up leaders through the mindset, through thinking differently about how to do real estate, to me, that's really what is most rewarding. I'm not driven by avarice or more stuff or more money. That is almost just the byproduct of having the right mindset. You know, when you adapt the right mindset, you get a coach, you follow success leaves clues, you know, financial success, that stuff follows. But really for me, Craig, now it really is this track I'm on to say my life has improved. I do things that I enjoy doing more now than I did 10 years ago. It's easier to sell 100 homes than it is to sell 10 homes. Why? Because now I have a team. It's leveraged. And that's really, to me, the key ingredient to multiplication is having that team. And it all starts with thinking the right way about real estate and about leadership and about leverage.
Does anyone ever think, where was the real estate team invented? Real estate teams are very popular. Where was the real estate team invented? It was invented right here, folks.
Wasn't it you, Craig? Weren't you the first
licensed agent to have other licensed agents work with them when I was not a broker? I've never been a broker, but I had a large team. I mean, we're going way back into the 1980s when I started with my team and inside sales agents and outside sales agents and database coordinators and the whole team concept. Well, it might be new to some of you watching this. This is a 30-year-old concept for me. I've been teaching team building since the 1980s. We brought a lot of stuff into the real estate industry, the guaranteed sales program, the DISC personality test, a lot of what you may think is commonplace right now. It all started right here. Now, guess what we're working on right now? The new things that the real estate world doesn't even know about, that they'll know about, 2 years from now and 5 years from now and 10 years. So if you want to be ahead of the curve, if you want to know what's going on, what's going to be the trend 5 years from now, we're doing it right now. Nick, we're going to have to wrap it up here. We're running out of time, but I want to give you an opportunity to share some final thoughts. One more time, just give us your contact information as well.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Craig, again for having me. Well, the contact information is developingrealtors.com. If you're interested and you're in Chicago land and you want to know more about my team or how to have your own team or how to become a broker owner, you can go to developingrealtors.com and reach out that way. We would love to hear from you.
We'll put that in the comments below, developingrealtors.com. And again, to book a call with me, it's proctorcall.com. So we'll put that info in the comments below. But final thoughts, we've had a great interview here. Really enjoy watching what you're doing here, Nick. The enthusiasm, watching you get really excited about continually growing. It's not just for you and your family, though, but for everybody on your team. And, this is the second interview we've done. I'm going to get you back here again because I want to see how this thing continues to grow and flourish. And the interesting thing is watching you grow as a person, right? Watching you, that's the most fascinating, position I have here as a coach, as a mentor, is to watch the students, to watch how not only their real estate business changes, but how they change as people, how they become more confident, right? How they, you see all these positive things and they're able to give back to the community, and they start to think thoughts that they've never had before and do things that they never thought that they were capable of. So it's an amazing perspective that I have, being able to watch your massive growth.
Yeah, well, thank you, and it's awesome. It's been such a great journey, and I'm glad to be back here. I'm glad to have been back here today, and look forward to coming back again.
Now, we've got our upcoming conferences coming up. If you want to get more information on what we do, of course, you can go to craigproctor.com. But I'm going to recommend, once again, that you book a call with us. Okay, we'll ask you a bunch of questions about where you are, what your business looks like, what your team looks like. Okay, I have a team, I don't have a team, what you're doing to generate your leads, what you're not doing, what you've tried that's worked, what you've tried that didn't. Jump on a free diagnostic call with us. Okay. And if you find it really helpful, maybe you might want to work with us. Maybe you don't, but let's find out, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? Nothing. You don't like it, you keep doing what you're doing. What's the best thing that can happen? It could be something really beautiful. Proctor call proctorcall.com. Nick Rendleman from Chicago, Illinois. I want to thank you so much for being here again, and we're going to get you back here in the future. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, Greg, this is my first team member of all time here.
All right, let me see the first team member of all time.
Here she is, my wife.
Hello. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't do what I do without this team member too. She's the staple of our home and just a wonderful woman and so supportive. So,
well, that's awesome.
Good team.
I want to thank you for all the work you two have done and for being awesome members and always giving back, including doing this interview here today.
Awesome.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks again. Take care now. That concludes the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. I hope you enjoyed. Leave us the comments below. Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's going to let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.